So there's the start of the game. Mike Eden kicking off. Docking gets the ball, and it's going to be Diamond who takes it up initially for the Cronulla side.
Interesting decision by Cronulla to bring Alan Wilson into the team after we expected Glenn Coleman to go out there on the wing. Wilson can play anywhere in this team. He's very versatile, but putting him on the wing is a surprise. And obviously Alan Fitzgibbon, I should say, believes he needs to have a regular goal kicker in the team. Gavin Miller can put them over, but not as consistent as Wilson. And Fitzgibbon wants to collect the 2-pointers every time they're there.
Porter has the ball now for Cronulla. And that's Gavin Miller. They take him back towards the halfway line. Last tackle against Cronulla. Pretty breezy too, as the pass comes away to Speechley. That's a towering punt. That's Troy McCarthy getting under the ball now, running it back towards the quarter line, and up there affecting the tackle, David Burns.
Troy McCarthy, the son of coach Bob McCarthy, has had quite a lot of rugby union experience with GPS in Brisbane.
Penalty against Cronulla. Incorrect lining up by the markers, and so Eden will kick for touch.
Speaking of the injuries to the Gold Coast team, Cronulla still have a few players out. Frico with a hamstring injury, McGaw, Staines and Watson all on the sidelines for them.
That's Peter Smith taking the ball up, and in fact he's lost it, and Cronulla have got it. I think Sorensen, no, he's been beaten for the ball on the scrum, will go down for the knock-on. Let's go back to the sidelines, and Peter Wilkins, that looks to be a fair sort of breeze down there. It's a bit hard to gauge up here on top of the roof, but what's it like down there at ground level?
Yes, it is a pretty fair breeze, Dave, gusting from the southeast, and don't be surprised to see Cronulla kicking for the corner, the left corner, as they attack the Giants' goal line in this half. But the Giants in possession now.
Well, that was a bad mistake by Cronulla, having won the scrum. The pass was sloppy, and even Speechley was a little bit sloppy in trying to get the ball, and now another mistake. A knock on there by the prop forward, Jim Cowell, sees the scrum to go down just inside the Giants' territory. Bit of sloppy play from both sides, Warren.
Three basic errors. First of all, Peter Smith losing the ball, then the mistake from the scrum by Cronulla, and then another handover from the Gold Coast. So very sloppy play.
Scrum won by Cronulla. Quickly it comes away to Docking. That's Troy McCarthy, who was lining his opposite number well, just inside the Giants' territory. Penalty against the Giants, inside the 5. In fact, Peter Smith and the captain, Billy Johnston, are the two who've been pinged. They've got the breeze at their back here, Cronulla. Now they're going to kick for touch, and it's Alan Wilson, in fact, who's going to come up and have a shot at goal. He's about, what, 40 metres, 41 metres out, right in front of the sticks. And the wind is really blowing about, and they've got the advantage of it, Cronulla.
Kevin Roberts laying down the law immediately on the 5 metres because the play was coming to the wide blind side towards our side of the field, yet he went back to the far side, to the open side, to give the penalty. So he's telling them get back to 5 metres on both sides of the rucks.
Alan Wilson was originally dropped out of the side. He was going to sit on the bench, but then coach Fitzgibbon deciding that he wanted to start the game with a recognised goal kicker. Well, it's foolhardy to go into a game these days without one, really, isn't it? And so Wilson gets a reprieve, and I dare say if he kicks 6 out of 6, he will please his coach and his team no end. He's moving in his first shot of the afternoon. He struck it pretty well, and he's got it. 2 points to Cronulla. And so the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks take an early lead after about 4.5 minutes play. Cronulla lead the Gold Coast Tweedheads 2-0.
It was a surprise to see Alan Wilson dropped last week after playing quite well in the match against Canterbury. He was dropped to bring David Hatch, the captain, back into the team, and back out there kicking penalty goals.
Mike Eden, the restart. And again, it's Diamond who's going to take it up after Docking took the kick off, and a good run from Diamond. He's got that ball away. Porter's picked it up on the bounce just outside the Cronulla quarter line. At 15 metres in from touch. Sorensen, not sure which way to go. Now they go the open side. Miller, he's got it away. Speechley's knocked it on, so he's made an error, another error. I wonder whether Michael Speechley's still 100% fit. Of course, he missed last week's game with an injury. But now the Gold Coast with the ball, and that's Cowell taking it up, former Brisbane player. 30-odd metres out from the Cronulla line. Across the back line it goes, and Mark Ross was tackled there.
Speechley hasn't forgotten how to tackle.
There he is, 2 tackles in a row, right round the bootlaces.
Cronulla missed quite a few tackles last week against Canterbury, and Speechley will clean that area up.
Here's Vitanza, his first touch of the ball this afternoon. Wrapped up about 33 metres out from the Cronulla line. Last tackle against the Gold Coast Giants. Blindside, Eden. Eden the kick. Into the quarter line. 18 metres out. They go high. Eden's got it back. It's gone loose and Porter's got it for Cronulla. Well, that could have finished up anywhere. Good thinking from Eden, and he's also a very dangerous player and one to watch this afternoon. Good ball from Perry to Miller. Miller's pass has gone loose, but I think they've got it back here, Cronulla. 6 to go, says the referee. The referee saying it came off the hand of Scott Meaney. Quinn with the ball.
Cronulla haven't settled down at all with the ball as yet.
Of course, they flew up this morning too, Warren, so that does take just a little bit out of you.
It takes an edge off you, but at the same time, Cronulla have taken the attitude that they're here to play the game, and the Gold Coast are relying on a few teams to come out here to laze around in the sun and think they're on holidays. And the Cronulla team have obviously taken the attitude they're going to be here just for football, and straight after the game they're going home again. And that may well keep the players' mind right on the job.
That tackle on Michael Porter a moment ago was a very heavy tackle, and now we're going to see a player call out Billy Johnson for that high tackle on Andrew Eddinghausen. It wasn't a dangerous tackle, but it was a high tackle. As you see Eddinghausen coming in, going low there is Cowell, and then you'll see coming out of the picture, and he finally gets there it is. It was high, but it wasn't as if it was a really dangerous tackle, but still no option for the referee but to penalise Billy Johnston.
He couldn't dispute the penalty at all. Johnson did go high, but as you say, Dave, not a dangerous attempted tackle. But Eddinghausen felt it. He's a little bit shaken by that.
So was Michael Porter after that tackle that he received only a moment before that. He's a lot better now, but he was dazed for a few moments. I think he thought he'd gone around with Larry Holmes there for a little while, or even Mike Tyson for that matter.
Possibly Jeff Fennick. Already 6 handling errors in the match.
Cronulla taking it up through David Hatch. He thought about that pass. Whitbread getting between the Cronulla players, preventing the last pass from going. And now Miller's dropped it. Speechley's cleaned it up, and the referee's going to put the scrum down. Another handling error.
Miller overrunning the ball here, and they've got some problems in close to the ruck. The runners are hitting the advantage line, but a lot of passes are going behind the man. We've seen Speechley overrun a couple as well.
That's Eden, and Eden's knocked the ball on. I don't believe this.
These two teams are going to have to wake up immediately. Their coaches will be just screaming blue murder right below us in the grandstand, and the two teams here simply got to treasure this ball. They're squandering possession. 6 tackles are there for the taking. Wake up out there.
Ball's won by Cronulla. It's come away now to Docking. Docking's up over the quarter line. Good run from Docking. That was a good tackle, but Eddinghausen's into a bit of space. He's got the pass away, but it's not a good one. Payton couldn't handle it. But what good football from the two State of Origin players, Docking and Eddinghausen, really creating a good opportunity here. There's Eddinghausen. Lovely football. The pass in the end just a little bit in front of Payton, and perhaps even a fraction forward anyway. But what good football and good combination.
Good combination, and Payton could well have scored a try if that ball had gone to hand. Eddinghausen had the problem of having a player between himself and his winger, and he just floated the ball forward trying to get it to him.
Must have come off a Gold Coast player's hand too, and that might have been the reason why it finished up going forward. And they've won the scrum against the head. Billy Johnston making up for the error, or for the mistake. And here's the Gold Coast running it out from their own line. Mark Ross held up there by Eddinghausen and David Hatch. Johnston, Smith. I don't think Cowell was really expecting that, and I think he might have even dropped the ball. He still got it. I think he went very close to dropping it. Eden's kick. Is it going to find touch? I don't think so. Docking takes it well. Now Johnston's up there and takes Docking as well, and then he's finished off over the top by, I think that was Gonzalez coming in. There's Alan Wilson. Got under that high one from Whitbread, but then he was cleaned up just inside Cronulla's territory. Quinn, Perry. Perry about 35 metres out from the Gold Coast line. Quinn again. Down the centre that time was the second rower, Miller. He's gone without it, and Gold Coast have come up with possession 30 metres out from their own line. So neither team really has settled down yet in attack. Tanza runs it out.
Cronulla are being bustled by some good strong defence from the Giants forwards. Cowell in there, Peter Smith, plenty of strong tackles, and that does unsettle you. You start to look and the combination starts to fall apart.
So there's the error count at the moment. Rather horrific, really. Most of those are handling errors. Cronulla 6 as opposed to the Gold Coast 5. And there's another one.
Michael Eden rushing himself there. You could see they had the overlap out wide and was quickly trying to get the ball out to the centres, but didn't get his hands on it properly before he tried to get the pass away.
Well, the early rain might have kept a few people away, David, and it also looks as though it's kept a bit of moisture in the ground as well with all this dropsy. We hope that doesn't continue, but really is it is one of the best surfaces in the game, and really you'd love to have it in your front lawn, I think, as part of your yard.
And you might even be able to hear that wind whistling around in the background. Cronulla have won that scrum. Scott Meaney it was who was cautioned there after the touch judge came in. They've got it just outside the quarter line, Cronulla, down Gold Coast end of the field, and it's another penalty. They're getting a little bit too anxious in defence here, Gold Coast. And with the wind at their backs, Cronulla will have another shot at goal. And with this breeze being so strong, 18 metres out, Wilson's likely to kick this right over the top and out of the stadium.
When we look at the Gold Coast pack, it's an unusual formation in the sense that the back row are very chunky. Set of Whitbread, Vitans and Simpkins, and up front they've got Cowell and Smith, who are both lanky props. They're fairly rugged, but they do have a few ball skills, but rather than being your particularly solid broad front rower, they're a lankier type. But whatever shape or form, they're certainly putting in some good strong tackles early in the game, but too eager in defence that time.
Alan Wilson successful with his first attempt. He should throw this over. Wilson, there's his second kick of the afternoon, and he still has that 100% record, 2 out of 2. And Cronulla Sutherland, after 10 minutes play here at the Seagulls Stadium, are leading the Gold Coast Tweedheads Giants by 4 points to 0.
The 4 points have both come from penalties due to the Gold Coast defence moving up inside the 5 metres, and referee Roberts having no mercy at all.
The restart from Mike Eden, and again it's Docking who takes it, and again the first man to receive the ball and run it up for Cronulla is Craig Diamond. Hatch, Lee Johnston there affecting the tackle, along with Peter Smith. Now Sorensen coming down the centre. Johnston and Cowell, the defenders that time. 30 metres out from Cronulla's line, and this will be against the player playing the ball, Sorensen, saying that he just rolled that ball between his legs. If he was in England or even perhaps New Zealand, he'd get away with it. But in Australia, they still insist that you put the foot on the ball. And Mike Eden will come up and have his first shot at penalty goal for the afternoon. He's got a deadly boot. He is kicking into this breeze in the first half. He's only about 30 metres out. He should put it over. The man who won the 1983 Rothmans medal when he was at Eastern Suburbs. Been round a bit, Mike. Manly, East, Parramatta. And watch this for sheer nonchalance. Look at that. Walks away, lines up. Concentration from now on. There's his kick. And it's hit the upright. It's bounced in no man's land, but they've cleaned it up through, I think it was little Ronnie Quinn who's got it in the end. And it's Quinn who managed to skip it out 16 or 17 metres before he was taken. But that ball, after bouncing off the upright, could have finished up or could have finished up with anyone.
The unexpected could have led to anything there with the ball coming off the upright. All of a sudden, the expected play is upset, but here goes Porter.
Michael Porter up over the halfway. He's got it away. That's Docking. He's got Eddinghausen in support. Eddinghausen racing away, and Eddinghausen will score. First try of the afternoon. Started by Michael Porter and finished off by Docking, and then Eddinghausen just doing the last little bit to put Cronulla in front by 8 points to 0.
The Gold Coast defence hadn't really settled, and Porter found the gap out wide and sprinted away like a back. Beautiful football by Porter, and the perfect pass inside to Docking, backing up in perfect position. Eddinghausen screaming alongside him, draws the fullback, and it was shut the gate. No one was going to get close to Eddinghausen once he was on his way. But the big forward, Porter from hooker, look at him go, stretching out and leaving some of the faster backs behind, screaming down the sideline. Bagnall coming across, trying to shepherd him towards the sideline. Inside was Docking. Eddinghausen looming up. Simpkins couldn't go with Eddinghausen. And perfect football by Docking. Fullback on football, fullback drawing his opposite man to send Eddinghausen in.
So Andrew Eddinghausen, his third try of the year. And as Warren said in the preview, the man that they really have to watch is this man. Even though it was Porter and Docking who did all the lead-up work, Eddinghausen had the speed to finish it off and give the Giants no chance of preventing the try. Wilson the chance to add the extras, moves in, and he's got it. And so Cronulla have skipped away after just 15 minutes to lead the Gold Coast Giants by 10 points to 0.
Good to see Jonathan Docking involved in the movement. He was kept quiet last week by Canterbury, couldn't really get into the game, but he was quickly up backing the break by Porter there. Good football.
You mentioned before, Warren, that the Giants' defence in close was looking pretty good. Well, one or two quick passes from Cronulla out wide split them up, and I think we might be seeing a bit more of that, even inside their own territory.
It just goes to show the penalty attempt by Eden coming off the upright. It should have been 2 points to the Gold Coast. Was right in front if a fair distance out. And all of a sudden, play turns around and Cronulla quickly exploiting the chance out wide.
Now another mistake, and I think the Gold Coast Giants have got that ball. Getting up with it is Whitbread, and he'll play it just outside the quarter line. Running it up as Cowell, and Cowell's got to the quarter line. Down Cronulla's end of the field, and the Giants will need a quick reply as if to rebuild some of their confidence. Anyway, Smith takes it down the centre, and that's good tackling. Speechley right round the bootlaces. The Giants through Ross, and away it comes to, that's Bagnall. Bagnall's got through a little bit of defence there on the open side of the ruck. Coming down the centre is Simpkins. He's got that pass away. That was Mark Ross again. This is the last tackle against the Giants. 11 metres out. Johnson a dummy half. They go the open side. Eden puts the kick up over the top. Back there is Docking. It stacks on the mill. It's gone loose. It could be anybody's ball. It might even be a try to the Gold Coast, but the referee says it's a knock-on. The referee has ruled it a knock-on.
Good kick by Eden. He didn't put it into the in goal on the full. It came down just in the field of play, and that put all sorts of pressure on the Cronulla fullback and defence. There were plenty of chases coming through.
What a good decision from referee Roberts, because that seems to, although on that shot, that it came off Gonzalez, who it was in the end, who picked it up and went over. And a difficult one for the referee to adjudicate on.
Well, a lot of players there, and it was on his blind side as well, so it was a good decision from Kevin Roberts.
Cronulla, after winning the scrum, back towards their own quarter line. Speechley, he'll kick. And this one's come off the Gold Coast player, and now Gonzalez made an absolute meal of it and knocked it on.
Ben Gonzalez coming in towards the ball, should have got to it and taken it comfortably as it had ricocheted off a Gold Coast hand. Made a mess of it, and there are some basic errors going on out there from both teams.
Cronulla have won it. Speechley. Burns has gone straight through, looking for support. He's got it in Docking. Docking floats the pass across. Payton's got it over the halfway. Payton gets to within, 13 metres inside the territory of the Gold Coast side, where he gets up and plays the ball now. They get it away now through Miller. It comes to Hatch, and Hatch is about 30 metres out from the Gold Coast line. Eddinghausen moves to dummy half. Open side, it comes from Quinn. Now down the centre, looked to be Perry, and Perry's held up about 30 metres out into the centre of the field. Sorensen's a dummy half. Quinn gets the ball. Speechley, the run-around move, doesn't come back with Diamond because he can't handle it. And again, a scrum will go down for the knock-on. How many scrums have we had so far in this game?
Diamond couldn't hang on to the pass. It was a planned move with Speechley. The ball went loose. Cronulla starting to break away now. They're finding holes in the Gold Coast defence, particularly out wide. Bagnall away from the scrum base.
8 scrums so far in the game. So we really have had a lot of drops here in the early part of this match. The Gold Coast with the ball, and that's Gonzalez. Midway half and quarter line. Inside Gold Coast territory. Whitbread takes it up. 8 metres his own side of halfway as Johnston moves to dummy half. And again, Cronulla found inside the 5. I must admit, where the penalty's being given is about, half a metre inside the Gold Coast territory, and with all fairness...
About 15 metres, David.
Well, I thought that the ball was played the other side of the 10-metre line anyway. Still, the referee is trying to get them back a long way to try and open up play. And whatever he rules on, as long as he's consistent, which he has been, both sides know the rule. Gold Coast take it up through Smith. Midway half and quarter line. Inside Cronulla's territory. Cowell, They reverse it. Now that's for Tanza. Now away to Simpkins. Stands. Got the pass away. McCarthy. He's got a lovely one-handed away to Scott Meany. Meany over the quarter line. Guts it back to Gonzalez. Gonzalez. What a good try. Good football from Scott Meany. What a good piece of football. Feeble defence there from Cronulla. But give that to Scott Meany and Gonzalez. They both did a great deal of work. And Troy McCarthy, when you have a look at the replay, look at the positioning of the hands.
It was beautiful football by McCarthy. Once he gets hold of the ball, he pulled in the defence and committed the tacklers in. They had to come into him, 2 of them on him, and slipped the pass away. And then spearing away. Now watch, Gonzalez went inside here, and he was left with the ball. Couldn't find Gonzalez. Then he cut back in and finally did well to evade 2 defenders. But really, I thought Gonzalez had made the mistake initially. He went back inside. Here he goes inside, and all of a sudden, looking for him was Scott Meany and couldn't find him. But eventually picked him up late with a good pass, and Gonzalez steps away from the cover defence. Good elusive running to get in for the try after probably making the mistake initially.
Here's Eden. That looks to be a better kick. It's coming around, but still not far enough. In fact, it's hit the upright again. So he's had 2 shots at goal, and both of them have hit the upright. So it could easily have been 10 points to 8. Instead, after 20 minutes, it's Cronulla 10, the Giants 4.
Meany showed plenty of pace as he speared through the gap there, and also good, cool thinking in the end when he looked for his winger and he wasn't on his outside. He took his time through the defence and got a good pass to Gonzalez. So good football all around. Perfect football. Very impressive effort from the Giants.
That man there, very much involved in that try, Troy McCarthy. I just noticed the way, like good rugby union 3/4 of where his grounding was, holding the ball in both hands, making it difficult for the opposition to decide which way he was going. The restart, and it looks to be too long. No, not quite. Taken on the full by the try scorer Gonzalez, and he runs it back towards the quarter line. And Scott Meany was coached by Ron Hilditch last year at Mudgee, and I know quite a few people at Mudgee will be watching this afternoon. And I dare say they'd get a big thrill out of watching Scott Meany being so heavily involved in that opening try by the Gold Coast.
Gold Coast appear to have their tails up all of a sudden. They're suddenly moving the ball and a little more spark in their step.
And that's Jeff Bagnall, very highly rated player. Last tackle against the Giants, and that kicks from Eden. It's running along the touchline. They're coming across. There's docking, and in the end, all he can do is allow it to bounce and cross the touchline. And the scrum will go down 10 metres in from the western touchline, and only about 18 metres out from the Cronulla line.
Eden's going to be an important playmaker out there for the Gold Coast, particularly with his kicking game, forcing Cronulla back into their own territory.
And I dare say, especially in the second half, if that breeze is maintained, when he's got it at his back. Cronulla running it out from their own line. That's Perry, who had a huge game last week for the Sharks. Just outside his quarter line, Quinn, Speechley. The pass comes to Burns, the short one to Eddinghausen, but they were waiting for Eddinghausen that time. They're trying to run it away from their quarter line again here, the Sharks. That's Burns, very strong man, very big in the legs, deceptive player. Speechley, the kick up over the halfway. Troy McCarthy waits for it. What a good bounce that was. Now, which way is he going to go? Trying to get past Porter. I don't think he'll do that. He doesn't. And Hatch was also there over the top. They went up in a straight line. That's the key to following kicks up as Gonzalez comes back in amongst the forwards. It's a good strong run from the youngster again too. Cowell takes it ahead. 9 metres. The Gold Coast side of halfway. Simpkins. And they're trying to make some sort of inroads down the centre here. That'll be a Shepherd. Obstruction.
That was bad luck in some ways for the Giants, because you had the 2 hookers, really, Billy Johnston and Simpkins, combining well to get some passes away. But then finally the defence was impeded. And the referee giving the penalty for the Shepherd. A little unlucky, but once you're caught behind one of your own men, it's a bit hard to get out of trouble, no matter how you might try to lie down.
So here's Alan Wilson. He's going to have this long-range shot at penalty goal. He's just 6 metres inside Cronulla's territory, and so there you can see just how far out he is. But as Peter Wilkins explained, that breeze down on the ground is quite strong, and The way he's been kicking them, he's been striking them well, Warren. He must have his confidence up. He scored 58 points last year. He's kicked 3 out of 3 so far today. He was the Rookie of the Year last year. And the reason why he got a late reprieve to start today was for this very purpose, goal kicking. Here he is. Wilson. Is it 4 out of 4? It's high, it's long, it's straight. What a goal! Great kicking performance so far from Alan Wilson. And I think that he could have kicked that from the other side of halfway. It cleared the bar with consummate ease, and Cronulla are now leading 12-4.
Wilson has vindicated Fitzgibbon's decision. He's kicked 3 out of 3, and on the other hand, the Gold Coast have missed 2 out of 2.
A restart again. Docking loudly calling mine. An object lesson for any youngster. And again, it's Diamond who's taken it up. So every kick-off so far has been the same. Eden kicking it off, Docking taking it, and Diamond taking it back to the quarter line. Why don't they just let Diamond play it? Cronulla running it away from the 22-metre line. Down their own end of the park. Penalty. Little knock on there. The referee smiling. Michael Porter saying, "Who, me, sir?"
And here's a chance for the Gold Coast to mount an attack.
The way they got their spirits up after scoring the try. This is what they want. Possession. 20-odd metres out from the Cronulla line. Bagnall to feed this scrum. It's taken there by Simpkins. And that's good defence. He somehow got that pass away. I don't think he really intended to be passed in the manner it was, but Mark Ross did pretty well to get it. Now they're trying to make ground down the centre through Whitbread. He's got it away, but Tan's flat-footed, but he's managed to at least make something out of it. He's pinched another metre. He's just outside the Cronulla quarter line. Smith going straight and hard, and that's a silly pass. That was never on, and now Cronulla with a chance. Quickly it's moved out to Burns. Burns out on the western touchline. Speechley back into trouble. He's still just, well, 11 metres his own side of halfway and 12 metres in from touch. Hatchet dummy half. Burns runs it up.
Cronulla have the ability to turn defence into attack quickly. They showed it against Canterbury last week, and they get the ball wide immediately. The man who is impressing me out there is David Burns. Just as with last week, he's very strong and playing in the centres today rather than 5'8". He can get the pass away. So he's got all the skills.
Miller. Speechley did well to hold that. He's put the pass back towards well, it went from Quinn to Porter. Porter's got it away, and going without it then was Sorensen, but it did come off his knee, and he's cleaned it up. Crowd don't like the decision, but it was right. On the halfway, Quinn, Hatch. Quickly it's come away. Oh, Burns has knocked that on. Scott Meany's fallen on it. You should stop giving someone a rap.
Exactly, so much for that. He's a terrible footballer, isn't he?
I was just about to say, though, he's really a good foil, isn't he? Good strong man in between gifted handling merchants like Speechley and Eddinghausen.
He's a very, very strongly built fellow, too, to be playing in the centres, though he's not slow.
Troy McCarthy showing us how well he could go at the 110 metres hurdles as well as football. Back towards the halfway, and this is going to be a penalty against Cronulla. Referee saying that the Cronulla player reefed that ball out of Troy McCarthy's hands. And so the Gold Coast kicking for touch and finding it. Only about 30 metres out, so they get another chance to mount an attack. And this is Bennett King. I don't think he's touched the ball till now, has he?
Once, from a kick-off.
So Smith takes it back towards the quarter line. Here's the Gold Coast opportunity. They hold it up, and Simpkins has gone without it, trying to be a little bit too fancy, I feel, and Sorensen comes up with the ball. Porter. Just outside the Cronulla quarter line. Good thinking from Michael Porter. No marker, so he thought, well, I'll just pinch another 10 metres, and did it very comfortably indeed. Now, that's Perry. The pass is another bad one. They're throwing passes when they're not on.
They're trying too hard. They're simply just trying to pass it when the support isn't really in position, and the pass, they can't get their arms free.
Look at that for the perfect tackle. Speechley there on Cowell. Eden. Midway half and quarter line, inside Cronulla's territory. Bagnall gets it away. Whitbread coming down the centre. Oh, he almost got through there. He's got the pass away. Back to Bagnall. Now Bagnall looking for the gaps out wide. He's got the pass away. Now that's Meany again. And this time Meany can't get through the defence. just outside the quarter line. Cronulla's end of the park. Mark Ross goes the blind side. He's away from one. He's got it away to McCarthy. McCarthy's chopped down, only 18 metres out. Last tackle against the Gold Coast. In a dummy half, it's King. It comes away. Bagnall with it. Bagnall's the one who puts the kick up. It's coming down just outside the goal line. Payton's dropped it, but Payton's cleaned up the mistake. And he's going to get up and play it a metre out from the goal line, and that could quite easily have been a Gold Coast try.
I was about to say that the kick was a little too deep from Bagnall compared to Edens, who have been pinpoint accuracy, but Payton made the mistake. He really, I suppose he was under pressure. You're always under pressure in that situation, but he should have taken that cleanly, and all of a sudden, the pressure was right on his team.
And that's Payton at the moment who's going to get up and play the ball. 15 metres out from that Cronulla line. Speechley cuts out Eddinghausen quickly. It's gone from Burns. It's come away now to Wilson. Wilson up the western touchline. Tried to get back on the inside and get a pass away to Burns, who was there in support. It just couldn't quite get that last split second in which to make it happen. Now Wilson with it again. The pass comes to Miller. Miller's up over the halfway. Miller puts a kick in. It's running along the touchline, but McCarthy's there to grab it. And McCarthy back on his own line. Comes towards his opposite number, Docking, and Docking equal to the task. Puts him on the grass. 11 metres out. The Gold Coast running it out through Cal. Back towards the quarter line. 30 minutes gone. Cronulla 12 lead the Gold Coast Tweedheads 4. And the Gold Coast will have this breeze at their backs in the second half. So it'll be interesting to see whether they can make up the deficit. And that's good football from Bennett King. He's up over the halfway. He's still going. He's got support. Mark Ross coming from behind. Dave Payton takes him to the ground just outside the Cronulla quarter line. Good football though from King. The ball's played. The Gold Coast with a chance as it quickly comes across from Eden. He's got it out wide to McCarthy. McCarthy's offloaded the pass to Billy Johnston. Johnston the dummies. It's come back on the inside to Cal. Cal going for the line. He's taken by Docking. He's only 12 metres out though from Cronulla's line. Last tackle against the Giants. It goes to McCarthy. McCarthy trying to force his way over. He's lost the ball. It's picked up there by Gonzalez. He thought he might have been able to go in for number 2. But the referee with a wry smile on his face says, I saw the lot.
There was some good football in the lead up here from McCarthy and also Billy Johnston leading to that movement there where he lost the ball forward. But both times the play had really come to a dead end, and both Johnston and McCarthy looked around, took the right option and found support in a different direction to where the play was going.
For the Gold Coast, getting Cronulla pinned down a bit down on their own line. You think that Cronulla, after racing away to that 10-0 lead, might have just fallen into a little bit of complacency or something?
I think it's simply handling errors. There's been 23 handling errors, 24 now in the game, and that's from both sides, and they're simply not able to get momentum, and I don't really think Cronulla have slackened off. I think the Gold Coast are starting to play better football.
Cronulla with the ball on their own quarter line. Perry offloads it. It goes from Docking. Now Miller's had to go back to fill that on the bounce and gets the ball away from Speechley. He's got it away now to Eddinghausen. But my word, that was a good tackle from Bennett King. King moved up on him so quickly. Eddinghausen didn't even have time to look for anyone who might have been in support. It was not a bad kick from Speechley in the end. He was almost horizontal to the ground when he got that away.
He was under a lot of pressure from Bennett King chasing after him, and that could have almost been a disaster if he hadn't got the boot to the ball.
As I said, we hadn't seen much of him, but what we have seen of Bennett King has been pretty impressive.
Well, he's a useful player, played for the Valleys club in Brisbane and is a good finisher.
The Gold Coast with the ball, back towards the halfway line. Eden's got it away from Whitbread. It's gone away to Mark Ross again. And Ross, the former South Sydney player, will play it just inside Cronulla's territory. Whitbread, Bagnall. Bagnall's gone straight through the gap, and it's only just desperate defence from Sorensen that puts him on the deck. Johnston, they keep it going pretty quickly here. He missed out one, missed out two. Now Meaney's got it. Meaney's trying to get on the outside of Eddinghausen, but Eddinghausen's not going to be caught. Simpkins at dummy half, last tackle, and it's against the penalty against Cronulla. All they had to do was stay back the required distance, and now I dare say Eden will come up and have another shot at penalty goal, or will he? He's having a conference now with Billy Johnston. Yes, he is going to have the shot at penalty goal. You'd think he'd have to, wouldn't he, Warren? I mean, the distance has been okay. It's just been that variable breeze, which has seen both his kicks so far just go to that left upright as we look at it on the screen.
At this stage of the game, I don't think there'd be any other choice than to go for the goal. They might have been tempted to keep the pressure on because they're starting to move the ball around, but really 2 points is there for the taking.
Mike Eden moves in. That's a better looking kick, and he's just got it inside that upright. He must be aiming for it. It doesn't make much difference, though. The record books and the papers tomorrow morning will show that as a goal. And so Cronulla are now leading by 12 points to 6. And we've only got about 6 minutes left in the first half. And this has been a good comeback by the Giants, considering that 2 goal or attempted goals have also hit the uprights. It could have only been 2 points in it at this stage.
It was a little frustrating from Cronulla to give away a penalty on the last tackle. They'd held the Giants for the first 5 and then giving away the penalty when they play the ball.
Whitbread's knocked that back. He's taken there by Perry and also Porter. Now Cowell running it back towards the quarter line. Johnston decides to go the open side, and there's Peter Smith. Billy Johnston in a dummy half. Decides to go on his own. But the defence isn't going to hang off, especially Michael Porter and Craig Diamond on the quarter line. Eden looking for the western touchline. I think he'll find it too. Willie Watt, what a good kick.
Eden is becoming more and more involved in controlling the play for the Giants as the game goes on. He's doing a good job.
And there it is. Very judicial in his judgment.
There's not much that Docking could have done about that.
The young man who finished his legal exams only last year, Mike Eden. Quinn has it. Alan Wilson running it back towards the halfway line. Perry almost got through then. Sorensen blindside, it comes away now. Porter cuts out one, and coming onto the burst was Diamond. That got away from Quinn. It went back through Sorensen. Away it goes now to Hatch. Now that's Perry with it, and Perry's got through to defence. Away to Speechley. He's almost dropped that. I think he's managed to just hold on to it with one arm. The referee having a very close look at it, and I think he said he's lost it. He has. Well, the referee was right on the spot there. You saw Speechley when he went into that tackle. He was half and half whether he had control of it, and obviously in the end he lost it. The Gold Coast with it. Here it is again. There's Speechley. Now you saw when he went into the tackle, well, there's the ball in the end. It's in between his legs.
Well, the referee was the closest to it, and he saw exactly what happened.
Now again, the ball seems to have gone loose over there, and I think Eddinghausen's got it here for Cronulla. These last few minutes before half-time are going to be vital for both these sides. As Speechley gets it, he's in a bit of space. Back it comes from Quinn. He's got it away to Hatch. Now that's Eddinghausen. Away it comes towards Payton, and Payton again sees the ball go wide of him and across the touchline, and the scrum will go down just outside the Giants' quarter line.
Bennett King thrust the hand out, and he could well have knocked this pass down, and just as well he did, because again Payton was clear. The ball moving out wide. Eddinghausen tries to the cutout pass, and it was the hand from King, knocked it over the touchline, and Payton otherwise was clear. That's the second time he's been in that situation. Payton couldn't quite get the ball.
Now Docking. Right on the attack here. The Sharks desperate for points to go into the break with a commanding lead. Porter away from one. The pass has been picked up in the end, but it wasn't a good one. Speechley still going. Speechley only 10 metres out from the Giants' line. In fact, he's lost the ball. And Mike Eden will play it. And Speechley there, you see, and that's the first time he's tackled. Then when he's hit again by Meaney from behind, the ball's loose. Scott Meaney's impressed me a bit today, Warren.
He's playing solidly. Notice the drop ball from Speechley there. Often you'll automatically think that it's the player carrying the ball has made the mistake, but in trying to get the ball into your hands to get a pass away, or you might be hit from behind from the angle, and all of a sudden good strong defensive tackle with a swinging arm coming in can jolt it loose.
Last tackle against Gold Coast. McCarthy. The kick up over the halfway. Docking takes it well. Crosses the halfway again. Back into the Giants' territory.
Jonathan Docking was glad that there was McCarthy kicking to him, not Eden. Straight down his throat.
Diamond. 12 metres inside the Giants' territory. Perry. Porter with it. 12 metres out from the quarter line. Back towards the centre of the field as Miller takes it up. He's got it away. That's Speechley. But good defence again. Up very quickly.
Speechley looked on the outside for Eddinghausen, but he'd gone through the middle of the ruck and he wasn't there.
It's Eddinghausen playing the ball now. Miller. Hoisted high. It's going to come down about 12 metres out. Gonzalez gets underneath it and takes that superbly. What a good take, and he's beaten one, he's beaten two, and almost back to the quarter line. Gee, that was a good bit of football under a lot of pressure.
It was a beautiful take from Gonzalez, and if we remember earlier in the game, he spilled one which was dead easy, but this time he's taken a brilliant take on the full from the bomb by Miller.
And there's the scrum so far. 14 in the first half as the siren goes, and the referee won't even bother to pack down the 15th scrum. At half-time, Cronulla go in leading by 12 points to 6.
They were mainly from Miller, and a couple of them were down the Cronulla end of the field anyway, so they didn't probably get the distance out of the breeze that was there. When we assess the Gold Coast prospects, they haven't done too badly in the first 3 matches played this year.
The restart of the second half.
Against Canterbury, they led into the second half. Against Norths in the National Panasonic, weren't many points scored, and then against Illawarra they pulled out a draw. So really, they haven't been doing too badly. They've been working hard on their defence and are keeping the other teams scoring down. What they have lacked is a little bit in attack, but they've shown out there in this first half that given the ball, they can do something with it.
So there we are, the Gold Coast side with the ball just outside the quarter line, and immediately Eden deciding to kick for the western touchline. He put it into the gap, but Docking was across there quickly. Cleans it up for Cronulla just outside his own quarter line. He's 30 metres out now from his own line, and that's where he'll get up and play it. But obviously, Eden is going to kick for that touchline that Peter Wilkins suggested early in the game was where Speechley would probably be spending most of the first half kicking towards.
Coaches always tell you to use the wind. It's a question of discipline if you carry out their instructions.
Cronulla with the ball back towards the halfway line, and that's Perry. And Peter Wilkins is down on the sideline. Pete.
Well, 3 words, David, applicable to both sides from the dressing rooms: control the ball. And we'll see whether they can do it in the second half, and not so much dropsy, perhaps.
Cronulla with the ball just inside the Gold Coast territory. That's Gavin Miller. Miller kicking for touch. It's a pretty good-looking kick. What a great kick from Gavin Miller. And he's found touch only 10 metres out from the Gold Coast line, and that really puts the pressure on the Gold Coast, and what a great start for the Sharks in the second half.
Perfect kick from Gavin Miller. He took his time, sized up the situation, and then drop punted it deep into the territory of the Gold Coast.
Bagnall to put the ball in the scrum. They've won it. Gold Coast running it back towards their own quarter line through a little halfback, Jeff Bagnall. No changes to either side at half-time. Simpkins.
In the first half, you'd have to say both packs virtually cancelled each other out. Interesting to see if one or the other can get on top in this half.
Matanza just outside the quarter line. Johnson, a dummy half. It comes away. Eden's going to kick this time on the 4th tackle. Again kicking for the western touchline, and look at this for a kick. Well, we've just seen 2 magnificent kicks in the space of 2 minutes. One from Gavin Miller, and now another one, pinpoint accuracy that time from Mike Eden.
Well, I'd say the coaches did have a word about the wind at half-time. What would you say, David?
Yeah, look at this. The ball just running away from Docking in the end.
It's one thing to talk about the using the wind, but it's another thing to have a kicker who can execute the kicks with that sort of style, as Eden and Miller have.
And both of them can put it on the sixpence. And Eden, of course, can kick with both feet. They've got the ball here now, Cronulla, just outside the quarter line. It's Docking who'll get up and play it. And that was Ronnie Quinn, who was a dummy half. Notice not wearing the headgear in the early stages of this second half. Suffered a very nasty gash on his face last year against Manly up at Brookvale. About 35 stitches or something inserted in. Cronulla with the ball. It's going to be the penalty, and he suggested that Porter knocked that ball on as he was trying to play it. I don't think Michael agreed with that, but that's twice now that Michael Porter's been picked up for just that tiny little, or the littlest or smallest of knock-ons, and there it is.
He appeared to knock it forward with his foot, so possibly could have got away with it, but Porter trying to play the ball quickly, as all good players should. Sometimes you try a little too hard.
And here's Bagnall. He's got in behind the defence again there. It's only the cover that caught him. He's just 25 metres out. Taking it up now is Whitbread. Good defence from Cronulla. Cronulla leading by 12 points to 6. Johnston blindsided, comes away to Vatenza. And right round the bootlaces is Michael Speechley inside the quarter area, down Cronulla's end of the field. Gold Coast with a ball. Bagnall, it comes away to Eden. Eden runs across field. He's got away from one. Eden over the quarter line. Eden still going. He throws the pass. In the end, it comes to King. King's almost wrestled out of the tackle. But Eddinghausen finishes up, flinging him into the ground. Only 9 metres out. Ross decides to go on his own. And Mark Ross has got within 5 metres of the line. Last tackle against the Gold Coast side as Eden tries to put that ball back in behind him. And in the end, a little bit too fancy, and it went way over the dead ball line in the end. But the idea was to try and go across field and kick the ball almost back over his shoulder. You'll see this.
The idea was excellent from Eden, but far too deep, and of course it brings it back to the 22, which is a real let-off for Cronulla. But the idea for Eden good, except that I don't think anyone else knew about it. Apart from the fact it was too deep, I don't think anyone else in his team knew about it. It was going to be him who would have to chase it, and that's always difficult. It's much better if you can alert your winger to charge through on the blind side.
Cronulla just outside their quarter line, and Porter's gone without it, and Mark Ross has picked it up there. He'll get up and play it.
Well, Cronulla haven't stopped making the mistakes.
And that's Smith. Peter Smith back towards the Cronulla quarter line. Bagnall. Simpkins. And Simpkins had 3 Sharks almost mauling him. Eden's pass comes away to Ross, and Ross is again across that quarter line, trying to bundle him into the touch, and in fact he's lost the ball and the ball's gone into touch, so the effect is the same. Eddinghausen and Payton doing good work there, good defence.
Ross should really have held onto the ball here. He was tackled heavily by Payton and Eddinghausen, and Payton in fact may have carried the ball over the touchline. Let's see the feed. Cronulla have got the feed.
Cronulla's got the feed, but I've got no doubts that the ball came off Payton before it went across the touchline, unless of course the referee ruled a knock on the end, instead of the fact that the ball or the scrum was put down for the ball going into touch. At a terrible angle. We can't even see the touch judge on this side of the field. He put his flag up, but I can't tell you how long it stayed up. Cronulla back towards the quarter line. Over on the eastern side of the ground. Now that's Diamond. Last tackle against Cronulla. Sorensen, Speechley, he'll kick, and there's the grubber, and King's in good position to take it. Back over the halfway he comes, and he's held there in good defence. Porter's up there, Payton's up there and going low with Perry. McCarthy, Bagnall, running onto the ball. There was Cow. Look at that for a tackle from Speechley. Every time he tackles someone, it's almost perfection. Smith takes it up, and Smith I think dropped that ball. That's gone undetected as he was tackled that time.
There's the tackle count. Notice Michael Speechley along with Michael Porter, second highest in the tackle count for Cronulla.
Now here's a chance as King comes back on the inside after Eden had got himself into a bit of space, and they're down towards the quarter line. Whitbread, it's come away now. Bagnall on his own, looking for that gap, can't find it. He's got the pass back to Johnston. Johnston's fired the pass away. Ross, away it comes to McCarthy, and McCarthy's held up 12 metres out from that Cronulla line. He'll get up and play it. The last tackle, Johnston. Now Eden's got it. Eden decides to put the grubber kick in, and Docking, look at that, perfectly positioned, and he's got the ball, saves the day for Cronulla, and he'll play it 12 metres out from his own line.
Fine positioning from Docking, and the pressure really wasn't there. It was a little too deep from Eden. It was either had to be deeper or shorter.
Yes, and he picked the only person out on the field that you wouldn't really want to pick out, because Docking's as safe as the bank, really.
If he put it shorter, maybe his chasers could get to it first. If he put it deeper, he might have been able to trap them in goal and force a dropout.
Miller to get up and play it. Midway half and quarter line, down Cronulla's end of the field as Porter takes it up, the blind side, back towards the halfway line. Simpkins and Whitbread involved in the tackle, along with Eden. Last tackle against Cronulla. Hatch, Speechley. The ball comes away now towards Burns. Burns stands, delivers, gets it away to Speechley, floats it over the top, and now the kick comes from Eddinghausen. That's not a bad speculator, is it? Down towards the try line. It's amazing what people with class can do, even under pressure as Eddinghausen was there, and McCarthy brings it back 12 metres out from his own line.
You must believe that Alan Wilson has plenty of pace, because he was the winger who was going to have to chase it.
Cronulla leading the Gold Coast Tweed Heads side by 12 points to 6. And we're coming up to the 10-minute mark of the second half. Just over the quarter line. Gold Coast side. We'll go Gold Coast end of the field. Gold Coast with the ball. Last tackle against the Giants. Eden Eden under pressure. He's got it away to McCarthy. McCarthy's kick up over the halfway. And they've made it, well, they made a meal of it initially, but Quinn somehow made it look good. Peter Wilkins on the sideline.
First replacement warming up, David. Glenn Coleman, who is warming the bench today, is limbering up, and it's just a question mark over who's going to replace.
Well, I wonder how he feels down there. Another one of the stars from one of the advertising series.
I can't see any injuries in the Cronulla team, and I bet it's not Wilson who's coming off.
Blindside, it comes now towards Hatch. Open side, it comes back from Quinn. It's away to Sorensen. Goal away to Perry. Over the quarter line, the pass comes away to Burns. On it goes now to Wilson. Wilson got inside Meaney. Can he get the pass away to Docking? Docking's gone without it, and McCarthy has got it now for the Gold Coast, and he runs it back towards the quarter line. But what a good passage of play. Certainly the best passage of play so far in the second half.
And fine work from Perry there to float the pass out to keep the movement going. Perry is also topping the tackle count, so it's not a bad effort. Here's Wilson stumbling forward and flicks the pass up as he sees Docking coming, and Docking couldn't quite hang on to it, and Docking may have made it to the line, even though McCarthy was at his heels.
Gold Coast on their own quarter line. That's for Tanzit, former Penrith player. Bagnall seizes the opportunity, dashes in from dummy half, but Michael Porter, who really has been consistently good this season in the 3 matches he's played so far. Eden up over the halfway, down over the quarter line. That's a good kick from Eden. A few chases then, really enough, and they're not going up in one line. Now they've got themselves in a straight line, and that's why Docking in the end is tackled.
As you say, David, only 2 chases there. If that was a few teams like particularly Canterbury, there would have been 6 men in front of him, but nevertheless the tackle was made.
And Manly get up quickly too. Here's Cronulla just outside the quarter line. But the effect of the breeze was shown again there, because that kick was a long one. Payton coming in off the wing. Good solid run for Wagga Boy. 11 metres inside Cronulla's territory. Now that's Quinn. Quinn down the centre. He's almost back to the halfway line.
Making an easy 10 and 15 metres through the middle.
Hatch. Hatch is going to put the kick in. Now that's come off a player, so it's everyone on side. And Bagnall in the end is taken into the ground by the man who kicked it. Gonzalez, again Hatch is going to affect the tackle. He would have been happy with it. Regis would have tackled that. He didn't have to put much effort into it. Did the soft ones, Warren?
The way to do them if you can get them.
Cronulla, I should say the Gold Coast throwing the ball out wide. Simpkins has lost it, and Sorensen's got it just inside the Gold Coast territory. Miller decides to go to the blind side. 9 metres the Gold Coast side of halfway. Still no change to the half-time score. 11 minutes gone. It's Cronulla leading 12-6. Quinn, it's Porter now with the ball. Midway half and quarter line. Gold Coast into the field. And now Diamond making up good ground on that blind side. He's lost the ball. Picking it up as Bennett King, and can't get away from the attention of Michael Porter.
Diamond spilling the ball when he simply should have hung on to it, but it was interesting that he had to go down the blind side. We've seen most of the play head to the open side throughout this game, but here's Diamond spearing down the blind, and that might have heard a call from his winger, but in twisting around to try and have a look, the ball came loose.
This is to be a penalty. Has to be. Cronulla player not rolling away from the play the ball area. Doesn't even matter whether it's accidental there. The law is so explicit, isn't it, Warren, that if you're there and you're in that area, you must make an attempt to get away from the playing area.
Well, that's the point. If you're in that ruck area, you simply have to roll away and just keep out of the action.
Yeah, Perry not making any attempt to roll away here. See, he's just sitting there, and then when the ball comes back, see, he's involved there. He's not making it really what one would term a deliberate or intentional move away from the ruck.
He couldn't necessarily get out of the road, but he could have just curled up in a little ball to make himself as unobtrusive as possible.
Gold Coast with the ball. That's Cal. Somehow got that away, and Eden's made good ground up over the halfway line. My word, Bagnall was there quickly. That's him a dummy half, blindside. Whitbread on the inside. He's found support. That's Mark Ross. Quickly has gone back to McCarthy. Away to Eden. Eden looks for support. He's found it. Bagnall throwing dummies, and he's lost the ball in the end. It's gone loose. It's picked up by Perry. Trying to keep that movement going because they had certainly a 2-man overlap on that eastern side of the field, but they just couldn't get the ball there.
Good football by the Giants. They're showing plenty of sparkle in their attacking work. There's the error count, and 31 against Cronulla, 25 against the Gold Coast, and drop ball 17 against Cronulla.
Quickly moving Weaving this ball across the back line. The Cronulla team looking dangerous here. It's Docking, and Docking is taking in great cover defence on the far side of the field. My word, that was some good football. Docking got himself clear, but then Joe Vitanza came from nowhere, the second rower, to effect a magnificent cover defending tackle. And really, I think even Johnny Raper, who's here at this ground today, would have been very proud of that one himself.
He collared Docking. Docking spun around trying to stay in the field of play because it was early in the tackle count, but good work by Vitanza to chase across.
So Payton is the man who's off for Cronulla, and now Glenn Coleman is on. And there's Tony Payton on the sidelines.
Scored 2 tries last week, but hasn't seen as much action today.
The Giants really haven't looked like breaking the Cronulla line severely for some time. I think they've got to, as I speak, they've just done it.
And Whitbread's up over the halfway line. And I think he's lost the ball, and that referee is pointing to one player to play it, and it was Speechley. And Speechley's got the ball back for Cronulla. And that's the trouble with both sides so far in the second half. They put it together for, say, 30 seconds, but they can't put it together for a group of 6 tackles yet. Quinn. Because the conditions would be very energy sapping too, because there'd be a lot of water still coming up out of the field, which makes it very humid.
It'd be very humid out there now that the sun is shining brightly this second half.
Now Miller's got a good pass away. Here's Porter up over the quarter line. Porter's got support. Porter looking for the support on the inside. Couldn't get his pass away. He was off balance. Quickly they play the ball. Burns away to Perry. Perry's dropped it on the ground. It's loose. Bagnall's touched it. I think Cronulla have got it. But the referee, I think, is going to put a scrum down, because it was knocked on originally by Bagnall. He finished up regaining the possession of the football, and the referee's going to put the scrum down, and Quinn will put it in. This was close. Drops it on the ground. Now you'll see Bagnall definitely touch the ball. It rolls forward. Then he regains the ball, but they've won against the head anyway here, so Bagnall's mistake.
And before that, the run of Porter, he was lumbering downfield, charged at the fullback and looked inside and had 2 supports. There probably had too many supports because Quinn was the furthest away, and the pass to him would have sent Quinn in under the posts. But he looked towards the man who was closer and half covered and decided he was better off hanging onto the ball.
There's the scrums. Cronulla 13 as against the Gold Coast 6. 2 tight heads for the Gold Coast. They'd like the third here, but they haven't got it. And it's Quinn who's got the ball. Speechley in a bit of space. Speechley in behind the defence. The pass over the top, almost intercepted. Cronulla, I think, have still retained possession.
Play on.
Wilson's got it. Ball's played. It comes to Docking. Docking's into the in-goal area, but he can't get the ball down. Referee says held up. In the back play, I noticed that David Hatch is still down on the ground, which is where that scrum was. And this isn't David Hatch. As Docking gets into the in-goal area.
Docking did well to get that far, but he probably wishes that he'd been pulled down in the field of play instead.
There's Diamond, who was down injured. He's been down there since that scrum had set. And the Gold Coast have the ball, and they were pretty fortunate to get away with it then.
Peter Wilkins might be able to find out for us whether Tony Payton was injured, because sitting in the grandstand there he seemed to be okay, and I wonder why Fitzgibbon has sent Coleman out on the wing to replace a winger if he's not injured.
No light on the subject just at the moment, but I don't think he's injured. He seemed to be having a fairly quiet game though, as opposed to last week.
The Coleman is a good footballer, so maybe the coach wants a little more thrust on the wing.
The Gold Coast have the ball. Eden up over the halfway line. Now Docking has to go nearly all the way back to his line. Again, that Breeze getting behind the ball and really giving it some momentum, and there's a good tackle too. Bagnall right round the legs of Docking. I haven't seen much of this fellow's attacking skills yet today, Warren, but geez, he's had a busy game, Bagnall.
Bagnall's a terrier of a footballer, isn't he? He's everywhere on the paddock in attack and defence. And he seems to be controlling his behaviour a little bit more in this game than in the first 2 matches of the season. He's probably calmed down a little.
So Cronulla with a chance down that left flank again, and Burns ducks back on the inside. It comes to Quinn. Quinn evades one, looking for support. He finds it in Miller coming down the centre. Miller's got it away to Porter. Porter's almost in the clear. Porter almost down to the quarter line. He's got it away to Speechley, and Speechley's going to be collared there. King and McCarthy there combined to chop him down, only 12 metres out from the Gold Coast line. Johnny Canvas is on, and that's him about to get the ball. He's got it back on the inside to Porter, and it's Diamond who's gone off the field for Cronulla. Last tackle here. Cronulla on the attack. They're only 9 metres out from the Gold Coast line. They lead 12-6. Miller, can he get his pass away? He can't. And the first handover of the game. We'll see possession go to the Gold Coast. Michael Porter there looked to be holding an arm there in the back plate as he goes back towards his position, and the Gold Coast run it back towards the quarter line.
They don't want Porter injured. He's made 2 good busts right down the centre of the field in the last few moments, and Speechley was left posted a moment ago with the line wide open. If he'd had one support on the outside, but Eddinghausen and Coleman with 10 or 15 metres back can get to him.
Speechley it is with the ball after yet another Gold Coast mistake, but probably caused by a Michael Porter tackle. He's had a huge game again today, Michael Porter. Coleman, I should say Quinn. That was Coleman there, number 2, getting into support Quinn. Canvas, it comes away to Sorensen. Sorensen stands, he's got the pass to Canvas. Away it comes Coleman, his first touch of the ball. Knockbacks, there's the referee. He's only 11 metres out. Canvas a dummy half. Miller. Miller can't get his pass away, or Kenny. No. Last tackle against the Sharks. 10 metres out from that Gold Coast line. Burns, that very effective grubber kick in behind the defence, but that time the bounce favouring the Gold Coast, and they've come up with possession through Gonzalez. But my word, that sort of grubber kick with the ball just dribbles along the ground can be very dangerous in that situation, especially put in behind the defensive line.
It's a very effective tactic, but now the Gold Coast must hold the ball here because they're under pressure. Cronulla have camped down this end of the field for the last 5 minutes after the Gold Coast handed back the ball after Cronulla blew it the previous time on the last tackle. This time the Gold Coast have got the ball. If they cough it up here, well, they're going to be in all sorts of trouble. I don't think they can hang on much longer unless they start to turn the play around.
20 minutes to go in the match, and Cronulla leading by the half-time margin, 12 points to 6. Eden gets it, and under pressure, he's got that kick in, and Coleman takes it back his own side of halfway, up to the halfway line, and Coleman beautifully tackled again by Bagnall. Docking from dummy half, makes good ground, 8 metres inside the Gold Coast territory. So we're into the last 20 minutes of the match. A bad pass, but Coleman gets it on the bounce. Ross it is who affects the tackle in company with King. A few metres in from the western touchline. Porter goes on his own, and look at that. Every time he's touched the ball today, he's been incredibly difficult to put down. Canvas runs the ball up for the Sharks, and he's almost got through. He's down to the quarter line. I wonder when Bob McCarthy will ring the replacements in the Gold Coast side. Now Miller on the last tackle. He's got the pass away. Canvas quickly. It's gone to Quinn. Quinn puts the kick in, but it's gone behind him. It's gone so far back that Wilson had to run back a good 10 or 15 metres to get that. He's evaded one defender. He's evaded 2, and he's got a kick in under pressure. And the ball in the end has been taken by the Gold Coast just outside the quarter line.
Cronulla a little bit flustered late in the tackle count. They don't seem to know exactly what to do. The kick completely miscued.
Yes, there's certainly no direction there, is there? I mean, we saw Gavin Miller uncharacteristically caught on the 6th tackle, and that time it was really lack of inspiration or lack of any sort of thought of what to do on the last tackle as the Gold Coast run it back towards the halfway, and Cowell has now dropped it. The scrum's going down on the sideline. Peter Wilkins.
Well, another disappointing knock-on for the Gold Coast there. The Eden kicking game has to really be put into play. He can't just toss it over the front line of a 20-metre kick. He's got to punch it right downfield. And the first replacement for the Gold Coast is about to be made. The reserve-grade fullback, Glenn Burgess, is warming up.
And the Gold Coast will be happy with that penalty going their way. It's hardly been a penalty in the second half, in fact.
Depending on injuries, I'm surprised that it's a fullback that'll be going onto the field, because if anything, the Gold Coast forwards are starting to look ragged. They're under pressure and they're starting to slip off tackles. In fact, Bagnall has made 14 tackles throughout the game.
And there's the kick. David Chapman, I think, has also come onto the field for the Gold Coast Giants.
Peter Smith's off.
And Peter Smith has come off, so that one forward, and there he is, David Chapman.
I think that's the right move by Bob McCarthy, to send on a couple of strong big men to tighten it up in the middle.
And down the centre comes Simpkins. Simpkins has got within 20 metres of this Cronulla line, but the Gold Coast at least in an attacking position, and Mark Ross pinches another 5 or 6 metres. His father-in-law's made the trip up from Sydney to watch him play today, so it'd be great to see him score a try as Eden gets the ball. Along the back line, the ball goes, and it's picked off only about 18 metres out, where they'll get up and play at the Gold Coast as Eden gets it away. Whitbread puts that kick up. I think it's way too deep. In fact, it goes into the grandstand, and so play will restart from the centre of the quarter line. Well, they got confused on the last tackle that time, the Gold Coast.
Yes, it's a real let-off when you put it too deep. It just takes all the pressure off the defending team over the dead ball line. It comes back to the 22 for a tap. We've got to remember, with 15 minutes to go, the Gold Coast need a try, a converted try, to even this game up, so they must get on the board soon. Peter Smith, the man replaced from the front row, had only made 12 tackles in the game, and I'm sure Bob McCarthy's statisticians were aware of that.
So Docking running it back towards the halfway line. Cronulla have got the ball just inside Gold Coast territory as Miller takes it down the centre. He's got it away. Now there's Sorensen. Sorensen going down the centre. Whitbread's there. And look at that. Bagnall again is the man who's cleaning it up all the time for the Gold Coast. He's had a huge second half. Last tackle against the Gold Coast. Canvas goes the blind side. He slips it away. Hatch puts his kick in. Now Glenn Burgess, who's the replacement onto the field, has no chance of getting to that ball. And the scrum will go down. Only about 8 metres out from the Gold Coast line and 10 metres in from the eastern touch line.
A good short kick, keeping the Gold Coast pinned right down in their territory. It puts the pressure right on them, and as I said a moment ago, Cronulla are leading by 6 points, so as long as they don't make any mistakes and keep play down the right end of the field, well, they can go on to a win here.
And another Cronulla replacement warming up as well, so they're coming thick and fast here. It's Greg Davies.
I noticed that Troy McCarthy was packing in at lock in that last scrum as the Gold Coast Giants run it back towards their own quarter line. So he's obviously a versatile player as well. And the Gold Coast desperate to get it down the far end of the field. Still no change to the half-time score. Cronulla leading by 12 points to 6. Whitbread going close to that touchline, but stays in touch, plays it. It comes away. Now that's Chapman, one of the replacement players. Eden putting the kick in, up over the halfway, but straight down Docking's throat. Now Docking with a lot of open space in front of him. Back to the halfway line. He's got through one, he's through two. Eden's in open space. Eden comes at Burgess. He gets around Burgess. He's got the pass away, and in the end, Porter overran it. He's got the ball back. The referee says it was a knockback, and he'll get up and play it there, Docking. Docking gets the pass away, and it's a penalty. And to Shepherd.
He's also warning Mike Eden for talking, but the penalty has gone to the Giants, and they needed that. That was a great run from Jonathan Docking, but Eden's magic with the boot has deserted him in the last few moments. The kick was deep, but it went straight down Docking's throat and gave him plenty of room to wind up coming to the defence, and he has got a good step. There's the Shepherd, which put Cronulla back on their heels. Dane Sorensen leaving the field.
Another penalty there going to the Gold Coast.
Up inside the 5. All of a sudden, Cronulla giving away vital penalties, and this is exactly what the Giants want. This takes them into Cronulla territory with 6 tackles from 35 metres out. Chapman taking it up.
The Gold Coast have the ball about 30 metres out now from the Cronulla line, and we've seen now the Cronulla coach Alan Fitzgibbon decide to put it back in the forwards because Wilson's moved into the forwards and Greg Davies has come on now on the wing. So McCarthy playing in the forwards instead of Atanza for the Gold Coast, and Wilson now in the forwards instead of Sorensen for Cronulla Sutherland. Johnston a dummy half. Eden has the ball. He sweeps it across now towards Scott Meaney. Meaney stands and can't get through that defence on the far side of the field. 11 metres in from the eastern touchline. They'll bring it back the open side. Bagnall, he's got it away from Johnston. It comes now away from the lock forward in Simpkins. The ball not well handled in the end by King, and Coleman has it for Cronulla. Eddinghausen over the halfway. Eddinghausen in space. Haven't seen much of him in the second half.
was dangerous football from the Gold Coast to give Cronulla possession there. I know what was in Glenn Burgess's mind. He thought he'd get it out to the winger quickly when he got a bad pass, but gee, the intercept was so close. Coleman was swooping onto the ball and would have gone all the way.
Dummy half was Wilson. It comes from Quinn to Speechley. He cuts out. He was about to cut out Canvas. Canvas has got it away back to Docking, and Docking, look at this, the little fella. He's come alive in the last 5 or 10 minutes. Miller decides the blind side. Speechley, and Speechley's taken to the ground. He's only 18 metres away from this Gold Coast line. In a dummy half, it's Miller again. Miller, he evades one. He can't get the pass away. That was Davies coming from nowhere on the outside. Quinn a dummy half. Away to Burns. Burns, the shot at field goal. It will be pretty good, I think. Let's wait for the referee. What a good field goal, because that means the margin is 7 points, and that might be enough to give the Sharks their first Winfield Cup points for 1988. Cronulla 13, Gold Coast Tweedhead 6, and the field goal kick there by David Burns. What a good kick.
A very sensible bit of football by Burns. Perfectly executed drop kick, never looked like missing, and that 1 point above a converted try should get Cronulla home. Still 10 minutes to go, but the lead should see the Sharks home. And from that kickoff, Bagnall was a foot in front of Eden from the kickoff, could have given away a penalty right in the middle of the field.
Canvas runs it up now for the Sharks. Just outside the Cronulla quarter line, 13 metres in from touch. Perry, 11 metres out now from the quarter line. That's Gavin Miller. He's got it away to Speechley. Now they've got a chance here. Look at Eddinghausen. Eddinghausen streaking downfield, gives it away to Davies. Davies over the quarter line, back on the inside. The pass has gone astray, and the Gold Coast come up with it. But really, Quinn was on his way to the line if he could hold that last pass.
Should have been a match-sealing try, but here goes Gonzalez.
Now they've got a chance here, the Gold Coast, if they can move it quickly. Now it's King who's in the clear. King's over the halfway. Canvas, the second rower, giving chase, I should say. It's the centre three-quarter, Mark Ross, who's got the ball. And he's down almost on the quarter line. As the ball comes back on the inside, now to King. And King's only 12 metres away.
Mark Ross tried to change of pace, but I think he had them beat. He should have kept going.
Blindside, it comes to McCarthy. McCarthy's through. McCarthy will score! They're back into business here. Troy McCarthy has scored the try, and the Gold Coast are back in business with only 9 minutes remaining. And he's had a great game.
The two fullbacks in this match have had good games. Docking and McCarthy both playing particularly good football. McCarthy stepping out of a couple of tackles after the Gold Coast rushed downfield and really slipped away from a tackle there from David Hatch, I think it was. Should have made the tackle.
And here it is again, that's Whitbread, a dummy half. The ball spinning across to McCarthy. Now look at the way he, little change of pace, the dummy and through, and over he goes to score the try.
Some great lead-up work from the Gold Coast. They turned defence into attack. Here's King bursting away after the earlier run from Ross. As I said, I thought Ross could have gone almost all the way, but he tried the change of pace to hold up the defence, and they eventually caught him. But then King took the movement on. And here goes McCarthy. Steps in and away. That gave him that little bit of movement to get away from the grasping tackle.
There's the kick from Eden. What a beauty! Great kick from Mike Eden from the sideline. Converts the try, and there's only a point in it now. Cronulla are leading by 13 points to 12. It's a cliffhanger with 8 minutes to go. A player down injured in the back play. A Gold Coast player. And in fact, the referee has stopped play. Now that must have happened.
It's Bagnall.
During that movement. Bagnall it is, who's now sitting up. But that must have happened just about at the beginning of that movement after the rush down the left flank by Cronulla, which saw them lose the ball, and then the rush back down when Mark Ross took the ball the 50 metres back downfield.
Which means that Bagnall's been on the ground a good 2 minutes.
And he's in some sort of pain out there.
I think he could have got a knock in the head. He looks dazed.
And I think Mark G looks as if he's gone on as the replacement. And he had a wow of a game in reserve grade. And some of the Brisbane journalists who've seen him play quite a bit of football this season told me before the game that he really is a player with a lot of potential. The Gold Coast.
The brother of Keith G is playing so well for the Broncos in the second row.
Had a blinder last week against Penrith, Keith G. So we've got 7 minutes left in the game. There's only a point in it. Cronulla leading by 13 points to 12. Eden's kick for touch. Docking getting back for it. Docking takes it safely. Down on the quarter line. He runs it back now. That's McCarthy up there. McCarthy grabs him. Ross comes in and finishes off the tackle. And over the top, also lending support that time. That's the replacement, Mark G, who's on the field. Cronulla taking it up now through Hatch. And Hatch almost back to the halfway line. How important is that field goal going to be in the end? We'll only know 6 minutes from now as Cronulla battle away. They're leading by that point, 13 points to 12. Davies gets it back inside the Gold Coast territory. Coleman a dummy half. Coleman on his own. Coleman 8 metres inside the Gold Coast territory. Davies, another one of the replacements, coming in to take the pressure off and doing a good job. Last tackle against the Sharks. Blindside. In fact, Miller just decides to kick for touch and finds it just outside the quarter line.
Miller decided that he wouldn't take the chance of handing over possession if he kicked deeper down to Burgess. Decided to go with the steady approach to the game, showing his experience. And
now in the background, there's another player. It's McCarthy, I think, who's down injured. In fact, he looks in a lot of pain. Troy McCarthy, as he's being now assisted from the field. That looks like as if it's a collarbone, doesn't it, Warren?
Either that or a wrist, one of the two. He's clutching the wrist, but that might be just to hold the ribs and collarbone compact.
Well, that's a tragic blow to Troy McCarthy and also the Gold Coast Seagulls, the Gold Coast Giants, I should say.
McCarthy has had a great game.
Mark G to put the ball in the scrum.
It's been a spirited performance from both these teams, and they've shown what they can do with the ball.
Penalty of the Gold Coast. This is their chance. They should just about find touch inside Cronulla's territory from here. And it will give them a chance to go right on the attack.
Seemed a fairly innocent tackle, that one for Troy McCarthy to leave the field. It was that tackle on Jonathan Docking. Nevertheless, he's off. We'll find out what's the problem. It does look to be a collarbone. Russell Browning is on, number 16.
Gold Coast running it back towards the halfway line. Billy Johnston. Blindside, quickly the ball swung away. It's Vitanza who's back on the field. And Russell Browning it is who plays the ball. David Chapman, 10 metres inside his own half. It's Ross who takes it up. Last tackle here for the Giants. They need to do something here, at least to put the pressure on Cronulla. Now Eden tries the little chip and chase over the top. Eden coming through quickly, but back there Burns has got to the ball first. And it was good football from Eden as he finished off the tackle as well, and he'll get up and play it on the quarter line. So that was probably as good as a deep kick anyway. Coleman.
Good work by Eden. He ran to the defensive line before he put the little kick through, committed the defence, but well read by Burns. He went back for it and covered up the situation as well as he possibly could and ended up with the ball. The Gold Coast would love to have 20,000 people screaming at their backs right now. Maybe next week against St George the crowd will turn up because they've played some pretty good football here and they look like they're getting better week by week.
Last tackle against Cronulla as Porter gets up and plays it. Wilson. It comes now to Porter, to Miller, I should say. Burgess. Burgess beautifully tackled by Speechley. Hasn't missed one all day. Now Gonzalez from dummy half.
That was a vital tackle from Speechley.
Cronulla leading 13 points to 12. Browning played it. This is G. 10 metres still inside the Gold Coast territory. Eden gets the pass away now to Meaney. Meaney's put Ross into a bit of a gap again. And Ross almost into touch as he plays that ball just inside Cronulla's territory. Eden again, hoists it high. It's coming down about 10 metres out from Cronulla's line and Davies takes it well. And Davies is going to take the tackle. No, he doesn't. He gets the pass away and it's Burns who's going to have to play the ball 18 metres out from his own line. They're keeping the pressure on. There's about 4 minutes left in the match. Coleman gets it outside that quarter line area. In fact, a good run by Coleman, pinched about 15 metres there. Quinn plays it. Quickly it goes to Miller up the blind side. And Miller almost gets it back to the halfway line.
Gavin Miller covering the ball up, not going to surrender possession, whatever.
Cambers will get up and play it on the halfway line. Just a point in it. The Gold Coast trailing by 1. They need possession at the moment. It's Cronulla with the ball and they lead 13-12. Perry to get up and play it. Last tackle against the Sharks. 3.5 minutes left in the match. Blindside Quinn. Quinn's kick for touch is a good one. No, King's there to save the day in the shadows, and he's got it back 12 metres inside his own half. He'll play the ball. Burgess. 9 metres inside Gold Coast territory. They need it down the other end of the park. Browning it is, who's taken in great defence again by Speechley. Whitbread bouncing off one. That ball's gone loose. 6 to go, says the referee. Gonzalez, Eden. And down the centre is Burgess. And Burgess taken in what the crowd thought was a high tackle, but he's quickly to his feet. Across the ball comes again towards Meaney. Meaney's got his pass back on the inside to Ross. Ross comes quickly, but he's gathered in near the touchline. Down towards the quarter line. It comes away now towards G. And G's tackle, 22 metres out. Cronulla leading 13-12. Eden has the shot at field goal, but it's not a good one. It's high in the air, in the in-goal area. It's taken there by Davies, and Davies is taken in turn by Eden, a couple of metres out from the Cronulla line. The ball's going to be played. It's Docking with it. Docking runs it back to the quarter line, but taken by Whitbread. 9 metres out. Canvas runs it back across field, back towards the quarter line. Cronulla with the ball through Wilson. Just playing one-out football, hoping they can play out time. Canvas, 10 metres out from the quarter line. Last tackle. Speechley's kick.
Well-placed kick, making Burgess cover plenty of territory to get across to it.
So the Gold Coast, is this going to be their last opportunity? It may well be. 10 metres out from their own quarter line. They need it down the other end of the field as Whitbread takes it ahead. The siren sounds in the back play as it comes now from G. It comes away to Meaney. Meaney's over the halfway. Almost the intercept from Speechley, who gathers the ball back. Dives on the loose ball. The referee says that's it.